Hi everybody. So today we're gonna cook Chinese food. I learned to cook Chinese food from looking at chefs in a Chinese restaurant. So today, if you don't have a wok, use a big pot. But as a college student, I advise you to invest in a cheap wok. It'll go a very long way, and this could act as a big pot for soup or whatever you want to do. Okay? So this is here. So let's go through the ingredients. So this is some beef that I have sliced up, already pre-seasoned. If you want to know how to season meat, just look at my video on seasoning meat. These are the noodles that I'm using. It's egg noodles. It's kind of like ramen noodles. I'm trying to create a Singapore my fun. If you ever go to a Chinese restaurant, it's a type of rice noodle with shrimp, meat, vegetables, curry, and it's spicy. So it's a very interesting. It's one of my favorite Chinese foods to make, to eat all the time, but it's very expensive. And I found when I look at Chinese people cook their food in restaurants, I found that it's been way overpriced because they don't put much into it. And it's very easy to make. I'm going to show you the seasonings that they use in the restaurant. So what we have here, so we have our beef that we have pre-seasoned, thawed out. We have about 5 cloves of garlic, half an onion, some mushrooms. You can put carrots, you can put peppers, like any vegetables that you want. I have a Japanese blend of frozen vegetables. So this has mushrooms, tomatoes. I'm not too keen on cooking Chinese food with tomatoes, but you're hungry, you're eating, you're happy. So I have 2 eggs with a little bit of salt and pepper. Beat. So we're going to add this in the end. This is my ending garnish. This is my shrimp. Put a little bit of green seasoning, fresh green seasoning. If you want to know how to make this, look at my green seasoning episode with a little bit of salt and pepper. When I thaw this out in the microwave, I just drain the water so that, you know, it's when you're cooking Chinese food, you want it to be dry. You don't want it to be wet and gooey. This is the egg noodles when they're finished cooked. So I cooked it before just to save on time. So all you do is put your water to boil. You drop this in when your water's boiling, like 5 minutes. You just take a fork, test it, see if it's soft. If it's soft, you take it out, drain it, run some cold water over it, shake it out, make sure it's dry. I like to try to cut the noodles a little bit and fluff them, just because when you try to mix the noodles with all of the food, you want the vegetables and the meats to get intertwined with the noodles as much as possible, as opposed to having, you know, it's separate. So I might have cooked these a little too much, but it's okay. We'll survive. So any type of curry will do, just because this is a meal that can be very open. So I'm using Trinidadian curry. I'm going to cook it differently than how you actually cook curry, but it's going to make the Chinese food taste a little, it's going to put a nice spin on it. I have white pepper powder and Chinese pepper powder. You can find these at any of your Asian stores. I haven't seen these in Walmart or Publix or any regular grocery store, but if you find a nice little hideaway, take a walk in and try to buy it. If you don't have these, that's okay, but these are what they use in Chinese restaurants. You have your sesame seed oil. They cook with a lot of sesame seed oil. Most of their meals usually have it. So this is more or less an essential part of Chinese cooking. For the Chinese people out there, if I'm wrong, please correct me, but thus far, my food tastes good, and I'm not going to try to change it. So this is the infamous MSG. People are so scared about MSG, and to me a little bit, it's not going to kill me. This has a 6th, there are 5 classes of taste. This has its own class of taste. It's called umamam. Go look it up online. There's a lot of debate about MSG, but I'm going to use a little bit today, and I really like it. So if you don't like it, you don't want to use it, you're afraid, that's fine, but I promise you all Chinese food has it. So they say that don't have it. I don't know how they get it to taste the way they make it taste. Salt, black pepper. Alright, so we're ready to go here. I have my wok. See, it's on high heat. So I'm going to put some oil in. My pot is very hot. You're going to see it smoking soon. Just try to get my oil all around. Put a piece of meat, test it out. This is where you try to cook this clover. So I'm gonna let my beef is pre-seasoned already, so I don't have to add anything else to it. But if you want to chop the beef and put it in right here, you're gonna put salt, black pepper, a touch of green seasoning. Chinese food doesn't have a lot of green seasoning in it, but it always, to me, it always adds a nice ring to your meats especially. So when you're cooking Chinese food, how I learned it from my dad is you cook your meats first, then you come in with vegetables. So as you can see, my vegetables are in. And I reduce my heat between medium and high. So in Chinese restaurants, their burners have an extremely high amount of heat. So I'm just pouring, see the nice greens that you just got there? So I'm going to put this back on high because I don't want it to... Food has water contained in it, and when you cook it, the water gets released. And that's what, at least I call it, and I know it as springing water. So notice I haven't added any salt. So what I like to do when I'm cooking Chinese food is to season my vegetables and my meats. Oh, my shrimp. Forgot to put my shrimp. So my shrimps are in there. So I have shrimp. It looks like I have onion, garlic, shrimps, some string beans, some broccoli, tomato, mushroom. I like to put a little bit of sesame seed oil right here. And this is where you should have added the curry in the beginning, but I'm going to sprinkle a little bit. Not too much, so you can come take a look at it. Those of you at home that see me doing this, you know, don't be afraid. I've tried it. Usually you're supposed to cook, especially Trinidadian curry, you're supposed to burn it so it doesn't, you know, make you have diarrhea. But I've found that I've done this a long time, a couple of times, and I haven't shut my pants. So, and I've been happy with my meals. So I put curry in it. I put sesame seed oil. I'm going to come with a touch of salt. Just a little bit, a sprinkle. Come with your black pepper. Put in a sprinkle of black pepper. White pepper powder. You're going to see people in Chinese restaurants, they usually have their stuff in a bowl and they just like tup, 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 and they just put everything in and it's cooked within like 5 minutes. I was just going to take a little longer because this is Chinese pepper powder. Because it takes, I like to put a lot of pepper powders in it because I just pepper it in a spoon. That's about like enough as you want. Put that in. Try it. If you want to flip your food, it's fun. Some food is going to fall out at some point in time when you begin, but you know what? You're never going to know until you try. So these are my noodles. So I'm just going to try to break them up. So I'm going to reduce my heat a little bit so I don't burn the noodles, because here comes the part about seasoning the noodles. So I'm just going to, so you see that my noodles are starting to, you can see the grains. All the seasonings start to come into the noodles themselves. But, right now, I'm going to add a touch more of sesame seed oil. Notice that my flow is very low. Low flow rate. I'm going to come back in with my black pepper. You don't have to add as much peppers as I'm adding, but this meal is usually very spicy. So I like to replicate that. So I'm just putting, come and actually take a look at how much pepper, so you have the bits of pepper there. Experiment, put a little bit at first, and then taste it, see how it goes, but I already know what's happening. So that's my pepper. Those are my 2 pepper powders. I don't need to put curry in it again. I come back with just a little bit of salt. If you find out it was too much, just sprinkle with your hands. That's just to get, you know, your noodles flavored as well. You know, crank it back up to high. Right? Oh, I forgot. Soy sauce. I'm running. Oh, there we go. Brand new soy sauce. She's fresh. She's ready. So at the end of fried rice, usually when you're making it at home, this will be like one of the last things that you put. So at this point in time, we're gonna leave the greens for last. So I'm mixing up my noodles again. Alright, so as you can hear, you can listen. Notice that my handle is out. Usually that's bad cooking technique. The handle should be in, but I like, manipulating. Also, you have to see as well. So I'm trying to, get a little flair for you all today. So notice how everything is looking more or less in place. So there are two ways to add egg to any Chinese meal that you're cooking. Usually in Chinese restaurants the heat is so high that when you add beat eggs, or they usually just crack eggs, beat them in a little spoon and then add it in, but it cooks really, really fast. So I'm going to try to get this as hot as possible, so when I add it in, my eggs are going to cook. Another way to do it, if you have a little more time, scramble them on the side, just drop them in. I have a little bit of salt, regular black pepper. Meat has a fair amount of salt, but sometimes you have to binge, sometimes you just gotta jump off the cliff and say, I'm gonna eat food that I want to eat. Okay? So I'm just pouring it over the top. Okay? Eggs are done. You don't have to use as much dishes that I've used, I just used it for presentation. So if you take a look on the side here, you can see the egg is cooking on the side. So I'm not going to stir it around too much. I want the egg to actually cook and then I break it up. Because if I mix it around a lot, you're just going to get tiny little strings of egg and you're not going to actually get as clump to gobble down. So this is going to make it almost like a pie. Oh, see, we got a little burn. You gotta be careful. So now, if you look at the egg, so you can see the egg is starting to cook. See, I burned my food, so take your time. So now I'm on the game, because my food is burning, and I gotta move my burn spots around. So now you can see the egg. You can smell the egg now. You can smell the freshness of the egg, but that's okay. So right now, so I'm still on high heat. Just gonna do this, coming hot. A little bit of soy sauce. Finish it off. That just adds a uniformity and it brings you back to that oriental style, that oriental flavor, scent and everything. So honestly, this meal could feed maybe a small family. For a college student, this will be 2 meals for me. And for tonight, it's going to be 1 meal for Dutch and I. In the end, throw in my green onions. Let it cook for a couple more seconds. Because it's already burnt. But as you can see, yum, yum, yum. Take it off the heat. Travelers. Don't pick up food with bare hands unless you've been doing it for a long time. Alright, so this is your finished product in your wok. Your home cooked Chinese food. Chinese food is not the healthiest thing in the world, but Chinese people live the longest for some reason. So it's okay. It's not the, you're just gonna enjoy it. It smells good. So I'm gonna get a bowl. I'm gonna dish it out and I'll see.